Hey guys, I'm back and welcome to another episode of Mommy Never Takes a Break, the podcast for women and moms alike who struggle with their confidence and shifting their negative energies, negative outlooks into positive perspectives. This is for you if you're trying to achieve a weight loss goal, a personal goal, maybe just an overall way for you to encourage and uplift yourself every single day. I want to bring this to you. So, if this is your first time on one of my podcasts, I am so happy to have you. My name is Stephanie Relle, and I'm formerly a nurse. I worked in the hospital and in home care and also in a lot of health clinics and wellness clinics. I shifted after having my 3 children to being home with them, homeschooling. So I'm a homeschool mom turned into a weight loss coach. So I help moms lose stubborn weight and feel their best, confident, sexy selves. And quickly, I have my own program, group coaching program called Sexy Fit Mamas that has been successful for so many women. And I am just so great to be a blessing to others and be a part of it. All right, you got a quick rundown of who I am. Why did I do such a big intro? Well, the thing is, I took a little hiatus. In June, kind of a lot of things just kind of went up and took my energy, my thought process, my time away from a lot of the things that I do on the regular. And one of the biggest things was this podcast. So it hasn't been a podcast episode since the end of May. And I am here to tell you that that is no longer going to be the case. We have a lot lined up for you. So for the month of August, I'm going to be doing some solo episodes with me, but I have a few people lined up to do interviews for September, other moms, and I'm just super excited about it. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. And so I just mentioned to you about how I had a rough couple of months, and I want to go a little further into, what happened? Why did that stop me and fault me into not showing up for my business and for myself? And I'm not going to lie, I did show up in as many places as I could, but I couldn't do all the things. I couldn't do everything because my attention and energy just wasn't there at its peak. So I will share with you real quickly how June started for me. So I had a scheduled surgery for my daughter. She's just 3 years old, but she had several cavities in her mouth. Part of the reason for that we are speculating right now is that she would nurse, and she would nurse overnight. A lot of the times when I was asleep, I didn't really know that she latched on till I looked at the nanny cam. And sure enough, she was nursing overnight. And so the dentist believed that was the contributing factor. Yes, my kids have some sugary items, snacks, like the fruit snacks and some juice, but we would always water down the juice, and we would limit how much they could have of those snacks. We also weren't very diligent with the toothbrushing. Sometimes we would let the kids do their own brushing and they weren't effective. So she had that surgery scheduled, and it was a lot because, my little girl's going under, and she did really well. She got 1 tooth pulled, a few capped, and some filled. So that happened. But shortly after that, I found out my grandmother, who was suffering from Alzheimer's for many, many years, over 10 years, was suddenly ill in the way that she was on hospice, and we didn't know if she would go in that moment the next day or a week later or whatever. So it was a lot of just family coming to visit and supporting my mom, being there for emotional support. And within very quickly, less than a week, she passed. And it was unexpected in the way that even though she had Alzheimer's disease, she was fairly healthy. There wasn't any other additional things that she was suffering from. It was just Alzheimer's. And she was still eating. The only thing at that point was that she wasn't walking anymore. But then all of a sudden something happened and she stopped eating. She was breathing irregular and just everything went downhill from there. And so just having to go through the motions of that, I hold my grandmother very near and dear to my heart. I love her. I grew up with her. She's a big part of my childhood, and I have so many great memories with her that I cherish. In fact, she's probably the only grandparent that I ever had that I have so many memories with, and so I cherish that. I did lose two grandparents when I was a child, so I didn't get to have a lot of closeness, and a lot of those memories are kind of, I don't want to say completely gone, but I just don't remember too much of it. And also my last living grandfather had passed just 6 months prior to my grandmother passing. So I lost both my last living grandparents within 6 months. And, it was a lot, I have to say, emotionally and physically, just trying to get into a rhythm of working out. I stopped my regular workout routine. I even had to take a little break from my clients just to go get through the week. I had to lead worship for my grandmother's funeral because we had a whole service for her. And it was beautiful, but it was a lot. As you all may know, if you've lost a loved one, a grandparent or whomever, it's a lot of work and a lot of emotional stress. So, and the biggest thing for me, more than anything, was just seeing my mom suffer because that was her mother. And she also took care of her for the past 11 years with this Alzheimer's disease. That alone was a lot for my mother. So I was kind of, in a sense, feeling her pain. And then after we were finally over that, through the funeral commencements and everything like that, my kids ended up sick and at varying times. So my daughter started with fevers. We couldn't figure out what was going on. She had high fevers for like 4 days straight. And then finally I took her to urgent care and they tested her for strep and she came out positive. My boys had nothing, no symptoms whatsoever until a week later, after she was diagnosed and taking her antibiotics. A week later, they started with the same exact classic symptoms, and then they started antibiotics. So just navigating that as a mom, if you're a mom, you know how hard it is to navigate sick kids, especially when you have to work or attend to other different things that require a lot of attention. And so all my kids are at home too. So it was just like, all of them. I had to focus on them and not so much my business. And then my son ended up with an allergic reaction to amoxicillin, which is what they gave him for strep. None of the other kids had that problem, just them. So just a bunch of different things. And then my mother-in-law came to visit, which was lovely having her. She was here for a week and we were able to have some fun and do some things that we normally wouldn't be able to do since she lives so far away. But that also took some of my time and energy. It took a lot for me to get back into the swing of things. Like I just was like, when you're off track for a very long time, and I mean this for anything, I'm not meaning this just for weight loss, although that's where my specialty is. But if you're off track, say in your Bible reading, you're off track in your exercise, you're off track in attending church, you're off track in, maybe attending your garden or whatever it is that you do consistently. Think about the things that you do consistently or that you try to do consistently because you know that you want it to be something successful. And you have a rhythm, you have a routine, you're doing it every day. But then something comes along the way and you stop doing it for whatever reason. And day goes by, a week goes by, a month goes by. And you're like, oh, shoot, I haven't done this. I'm way off track. And for you to get back into that rhythm that you once were in is extremely difficult. It's extremely hard to just get yourself back into doing it regularly every day, no matter what it is. Our body is just attuned to routine. And it needs to be in a routine. But when you are out of that routine and you get yourself into a different type of routine, right? It's so hard to switch gears. It's so hard to switch gears and get back into that regular routine. But the reality is that you can do it. You can get get through the slump. You can get through feeling not so motivated to do so. But when you know that you got to do it and you know the way you felt from doing it, like you saw the results from, actually doing the work and doing it consistently, that's what's going to propel you forward to actually do it again and get into that regular routine. So for me, I was completely out of routine for working with my clients, doing my workouts, doing like social media and my podcast, that it was just so hard. So like all the stuff that I just told you about literally happened within the whole month of June and about the first week or first 10 days of July, that whole span. And then now I'm recording here now and it's August 4th. So from like July 17, I think around there to now, I had a really hard time getting back into my routine. I knew that I had to do it. I knew that I wanted to do it, but something in me was just preventing me from actually doing it consistently. There was times where I did a social media post here and I did a workout here and I checked in with my clients and, but it wasn't in that cadence, that flow. And when you're in that flow, there's like really nothing that can stop you because you're so just attuned to what you're doing. Out of that flow, distractions just easily come, right? And especially the lies of the devil will come because he knows that you're not locked in, that you're locked in to what you're trying to accomplish, locked in to leaning in to God's promises and leaning into him for support and structure. And when things slowly waver and something knocks you off course, and one by one, piece by piece, that is not so strong anymore. Now you have some flaw there where he can enter and hit you at your weakest moment. And that's how I felt. I started to go down that path of negativity, feeling like, how am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to keep going? It just almost felt, not that it was, but it felt impossible. And that's completely wrong. So I want to encourage you that no matter what adversity comes your way, that you are strong enough to overcome that adversity. The battle is with the mind. It's not with you. It's not with your own physical abilities, because obviously you were in routine before. Obviously you were able to accomplish what you needed to accomplish before, right? Obviously you've seen results from what you were doing. So the problem isn't with you physically, you being able to overcome things. It's the battle of the mind, and Satan exactly attacks the mind. And so I had to push through the obstacle of procrastination, the obstacle of feeling lazy, just making excuses. All those things I needed to stop, and I needed to take action. I needed to be proactive, to really fuel my motivation, to really fuel that discipline within me to get back into a routine. It's crucial, us as moms, to be able to maintain determination in the face of adversity. We're very resilient. We can bounce back from anything. We can be able to withstand some of the toughest things. And if you could think back in your life, some of the toughest obstacles you faced and how you've overcome that, you know that you are a strong woman and that God has your back. He has you and he knows you and he has great plans for you. And he knows exactly how you're going to overcome it. But you need to overcome that battle, the battle of the mind, and really step into how resilient you are and how resilient you've been in the past, overcoming anything. Now, of course, there's a time for everything. There's time for grief. I just lost my grandmother and I had to grieve her and I had to go through the motions of that. And I had to be there for emotional support for my mother and my family. There's times for grief. There's times for just being able to sit in what you're going through and really evaluate and think about it. But there's also that time of stepping out and going above it and overcoming and being stronger and really learning and growing through the process. Super important. And one of the things that's really helped me really be strong through these tough times is having an anchor. And an anchor could be anything for you. It can be an item. It could be a person. It could be a memory. It could be a song. Think about this. Remember when you were a child and there was this thing that you would constantly go to just for comfort. A lot of children have a security blanket or a security stuffed animal. And without that, they wouldn't be able to find that calm. They wouldn't be able to regulate themselves. But when they do have it, they tend to just be able to focus and calm themselves down. For us as adults, the concept is the same. It may not be a blanket, it may not be a stuffed teddy, but it can be something that holds a lot of value for you to really anchor you, to really help you focus on what you need to focus on and help you to move forward. Maybe you don't know what that is, or maybe you do know what that is as I'm speaking to you today, but I want you to start thinking about it. Start thinking about what is the thing that can get you from 10 to like 3, to overwhelmed, stressed, exhausted, crazy, about to cry, to calm, peace, love, comfort. What is that thing for you that holds so much value and is able to get you to a more steady, regular heart rate, to a more level headedness, to a place where you can finally mount on the wings of eagles and soar? Oftentimes for me, I will switch what that anchor is for me. I don't really have a childhood thing that, stems from back in the day that I hold so dear and close. I do have my memories, and obviously being around family is something that I hold dear to my heart. But often I will switch things up. Maybe it's something that I want to focus on, like a word. Last year I wanted to focus on the word show up. And for me, I held that dear to myself because I knew that in everything that I did, I needed to show up for myself. I needed to just show up no matter how I felt, no matter what I was doing, no matter what I was trying to accomplish, but to not hide, to not cower, to not procrastinate, but to just simply show up, whether it's messy or not, because we're not perfect. But at least I'm showing up so that things actually happen. This year, I want to focus more on the word be seen. Now it's kind of the same thing as show up, but it's a little more out there. It's a little more like, I need my name to be known. And I know that I need my name to be known because God has a huge mission for me. And I don't know all the pieces yet, but I know he's putting them together right now, and I can't be afraid. And no matter what I am doing, I cannot be afraid. And so that is the words I'm clinging to. So these words that I kind of set for myself every year, of course, I look to God and ask him what it is, but literally the things I cling on to all year. And I will write them on Post-it notes and put them in my home, put them in my book, put it in my laptop, put it on my phone. Wherever I am constantly looking at, I will see that. I will see that word, the phrase, whatever it is, so that I can be centered on that and focus and stable and know that I'm on mission. And so that's what an anchor does. When you let down an anchor from a boat, it holds that boat there. The boat cannot waver. The boat cannot be lost or go somewhere else. It is right there where exactly it's supposed to be, centered, stable, and ready for whenever you need it. And so that's what I want to be. I want to be a vessel. And having an anchor, it doesn't have to be just a word like I do. It can be something that you hold near and dear. Like I said, people use jewelry or pictures. There's so many different things, but it needs to hold a lot of value, and it needs to be able to get you back to where you need to be and not off course, just like that boat. Now, another practical thing is that I always look back from where I was to where I am now, and really reflecting on how God has brought me through those things. Because it's really amazing to see the transformations I've had in my life alone, what God has brought me through, and where I am today, and how I would not be where I am today had he not intervened in my life. And so another thing that I like to do is reflection of the past, assessing where I am today, and propelling myself forward based on those things, to know that I am capable, I am loved, I am strong, and God has big plans for me. And that's such a huge exercise that I do for myself because it really empowers me and encourages me to keep going and actually gets me to do the work. And the last thing that I want to encourage you to do, so the first one is to have an anchor, a strong anchor. Second is reflect, assess, and propel. And then the last one is to be setting your goals. Always set your goals because there's always something that you need to achieve, something that you can always go for because God's not done with you. He's not. And so create the goals that are measurable and achievable and get the right support to help you through that. And practice self-care and managing your time effectively. Too many of us fall into the trap of busyness. We're always busy. I got this, I got that. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And sometimes, again, that is also the battle of the mind. And we need to focus on how we can use our time wisely and prioritize the things in our schedule amongst the craziness, especially when you have a huge goal to hit. And so it's so important to keep a positive mindset throughout this. And I want you to know that you've got this. I mean, being a mom alone, you have superpowers, right? We all have some mom superpowers and life gets busy. I know I face that myself all the time, even being home with my kids, just wearing so many hats and being a business owner in itself is a lot. And so navigating life's challenges are difficult, but it's possible to pursue your dreams, your goals as a mom. And in order to rise above it all, you need to put these practical tips into place and also continue to seek support, have a community around you, and continue having a positive mindset, even when things get in the way. Like I said, my past 2 months have been really hard and things definitely got in the way. But I'm here today to tell you I'm back and I'm ready to keep bringing you awesome, incredible information, uplifting and educational content so that you can better yourselves and your days, your weeks, and more. I want to leave you with a scripture today that I really love, and I hope it encourages you. Let this be something that you can apply to your life or even post it somewhere so that you can recite it to yourself every day. The scripture is from Isaiah 40:31, and it says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." How amazing is that we can put our hope in the Lord and know that He is here to strengthen us, even after a crazy long day, even when we've had a couple of hard months, even when we've lost someone, even when things are hard. But amongst it all, if we can put our hope in the Lord and ask Him to help us here and now through the difficult times, He will rise us up to be stronger than ever, to grow, and also to inspire others through our testimony. You can absolutely pursue your dreams today and achieve your goals. All you need to do is surrender and take control of your mind. The battle of the mind is one that many people lose too often, and the enemy knows exactly how to use it against you. So be strong, be courageous, and work hard toward your goals. Don't give up, mama. You got this, and I'm here. I'm here if you ever want to talk. Thank you so much for joining another great podcast. I love talking about perspectives and trusting in the Lord and working through the most difficult times of our life, because the reality is there's always going to be hard times. It's how you navigate and it's how you come back from it and how much stronger you are afterwards. I pray for you today that you have gotten something out of this podcast, that you feel empowered, and that you can rise up and live a life of purpose and change your perspectives. I'm Stephanie Relle, your host, and I will see you next week.